map-making, once the art of sea captains and intrepid explorers, is now the science of air pilots and cameramen. A plane warms up at the Hobart Airport. Its destination, the blank spots marked unexplored on the outdated maps of southwestern Tasmania. Gradually, the whole of Tasmania, settled and unsettled, is being photographed from the air. Air crews can slide over mountains, plains, rivers and lakes at more than 100 miles an hour, while the camera swiftly memorizes it all. This is a far cry from the days when the biggest part of the mapmaker's work was the overland march, or the battle in small boats down an unexplored river. Some of Tasmania's biggest rivers in the wild country of the southwest have never been traveled by boat. The plane brings back hundreds of photographs to make a photo mosaic of the countryside with every feature and farmhouse recorded. On the ground, some accurate measurements must still be made, so that distances can be read accurately from the aerial photographs. For this task, science has given the modern surveyor the tellurometer, a device like radar. Lined up on a distant hill, it flashes a radio wave to a reflector and measures the distance the wave travels. By now, the aerial photographs are being studied and their main geographical features marked in. In the mapping section of the Lands and Surveys Department, a photo interpreter examines the photographs through a stereoscope. The effect is like a 3D film, with mountains standing up and valleys sinking away. Another machine compares photographs for distortion caused by instability of the aircraft. The actual map making begins in a complicated machine called the Wild A7. Distortions detected in the earlier process are corrected, and the A7 copies the features of the photographs and transfers them to the map. Under the pen of this mechanical marvel, the map takes shape. But the last artist is still the human draftsman, who must put the finishing touches to the map. Here he darkens the main contour lines. Then half a dozen times through the color press, and the map is printed. Prospectors, bushwalkers, surveyors, and others have discovered, sometimes to their cost, the errors and omissions in many of the old maps. Now, thanks to aerial photography, modern explorers can have accurate maps before they set foot in little-known territory. The atomic age has given man his most powerful weapons in the fight against cancer. At the Peter MacCallum Clinic in Launceston, a huge machine called the Theratron uses a lump of radioactive cobalt no bigger than a marble. Watching through a heavily insulated porthole, the technician switches on the Theratron. A beam of invisible radiation penetrates deeply to the internal cancer. The Theratron can be rotated so that the beam moves over the surface of the skin to avoid radiation burn, but always strikes at the deep-seated tumor. Like the Theratron, the deep X-ray machine sends rays into the inner recesses of the body to cure cancer of the kidney or the tonsil. The patient feels no sensation as the ray does its healing work. The technician must always leave the treatment room so that she will not receive too large a dose of radiation. Remote controls and automatic timing mechanisms control the ray treatments. £20,000 was spent on Tasmania's Theratron, only the second to be used in Australia. It has given doctors new means and patients new hope of curing cancer. Hundreds of tourists each year tramp across the cow paddocks of a farm on Tasmania's northwest coast to see an unusual museum, and to meet one of the world's youngest museum keepers. Peter Mercer, still in his early 20s, has an obsession for collecting, from seashells to Aboriginal weapons. He began at 7 with a few curios in a box under his bed. Among the 10,000 exhibits now is this rare hand-painted stool. In the 17th century, Milady used it to climb into her high bed. Friendly strangers all over Tasmania have helped the collection grow in size and astonishing variety. Now it fills an old workman's cottage on the Mercer farm. This prayer book goes back to 1840. A grizzly calendar shares a place with an old copy of the Koran. Some boys collect stamps. Peter Mercer collects everything. From a boyhood passion has grown a valuable historical collection, which is forming a new Tasmanian museum.